And now, around the world and around the corner, it's the David Bowers Awards, bringing the best in indie music to millions of listeners worldwide with your host, the David Bowers. We've got a fantastic lineup of guests, as well as our engineer extraordinaire, Nick the Geek, our entire crew here at the Asylum, and me. I'm John Bon Jovial. And now, here's the voice of indie music, the David Bowers.
Thank you very much, and welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We've got some great music for you this week, and including a return by one of our previous guests who's got a new track he's going to play for us, and he's going to come and sit and talk with us, as is our other guest, and we'll tell you about them right after you listen to this. It's called Thick as Thieves.
too close to finding out how it could be. We're thick as thieves.
They call themselves Rob and Kirby Kaple right here on the David Bowers Awards. Ask your doctor if the David Bowers Awards is right for you. They are an interesting pair, and they are part of a very interesting group, a group of pastors and leaders at an adult ministry in Atlanta, Georgia. I believe their churches are spreading out throughout other cities too, but I know they're with the Grace Midtown Church in Atlanta, Georgia, and they have if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area and you're looking for an alternative ministry, a non-denominational church that you might become affiliated to, it might be one to look into. They have a very interesting and a progressive attitude. It's not your, as I say, it's not your daddy's church. It's they're not radical by any means, but they do have a little bit different and more modern approach to religion. But their music is really neat, and it's all over the internet. I was really surprised for a pair of artists that you can't find a lot of details on the internet. And let me tell you, if you can't find details about something on the internet, you almost think it doesn't exist. But you can't find out a lot about them on the internet, except for the fact that their music is all over. You can find them on virtually any search engine. You'll find them also on Apple Music, of course, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, anywhere you go. Check out Rob and Kirby Kaple, Kaple, like staple, and check out their music. And as I said, look them up online. And as I always say, if you like what they're doing, drop them a line and let them know. And we'd appreciate it if you would mention that you heard it, right here on this show. Right, John Bon Jovial?
Rat cheer on this here show. That's right. Good afternoon or good morning or good evening, depending upon when people are listening, or otherwise known as howdy do.
And how are you?
Hey, I like that song, that Thick as Thieves. I mean, I can see that crossing over into country and pop. And nice.
Yeah, and
it had a nice rhythm to it, a nice feel, smooth.
It does. There's a lot of what is falling into the category of Americana around, and we've been getting a lot of it lately. As a matter of fact, next week, I believe, I haven't gotten the final confirmation, but I believe next week's show we're going to have an interesting entire album of music that is broadly categorized as Americana because it encompasses virtually all types of music found here in America, from New Orleans jazz to blues to rock and roll to ballads. Should be a very interesting show. But yes, their music falls into the Americana category, and it's a crossover sound. It could be pop, it could be folk. I don't know if country stations would play it or not, but it's definitely a crossover sound. I'd like it too. Very, very listenable.
I think a country station would, if it's one of the newer country stations as far as the genre of country that they're playing, if they're trying to market themselves to millennials, which are becoming the power spending house now demographically. I could see one of those stations playing it. A typical traditional country station like WSM in Nashville, no. But
probably
one of the newer stations, or the newer country genre of station, sure, yeah, it would fit in quite nicely.
Yeah, we have to see what kind of reacts we get from the listeners, and maybe we'll get them to pop by and be on the show and chat with us about their music, their music philosophies, and who knows, everything else that comes up. Speaking of what comes up, how are things in Bon Jovial land this week?
Oh, here in Camp Swampy, everything is just swimmingly ducky. The fall weather, or winter weather, call it what you will, for Florida, is finally starting to hit. Instead of temperatures in the 90s with ultra obnoxious humidity every day, now we're in the low 80s, upper 70s, and it's actually been quite pleasant. And I think this is what people move to Florida for, is this type of weather.
Oh, yes.
And although I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again, as I'm going to right now, and that is, when you live here as many years as I have, endless summer gets old. It does. I miss the seasons. Now, that's kind of hard for people to wrap their heads around, especially with the snow and sleet that is hitting the upper Midwest right now. And with, the incredibly cold temperatures, sure, I'll take this weather any day over that. But, yeah, seasonal change would be nice here.
Yeah, it's funny. I know exactly what you're speaking of because I, too, come from the snow country of the Northeast. But I noticed the fact that you don't have the extreme seasonal changes, but I miss it very favorably. I mean, I remember fighting winter. As a matter of fact, people ask me why I don't like fall, and it stems from my childhood. Fall was an ominous reminder of what was around the corner.
Exactly.
3 or 4 months of freezing, slush,
growing
snow,
up in Boston like I did, sure, that we were the same thing. Every time fall would roll around, yeah, the leaves were beautiful, but, oh, man, it's going to get cold soon. So, yeah.
Well, it sure is, and they are definitely getting it. They got it early this year, and they're got this one that's moving through as we speak into the Midwest, and will be headed to the Northeast very shortly. So our thoughts are with all our friends that are in the parts of the country being affected by that. It's been an extreme year all the way around.
Yes, it has.
Extremely hot in the summer. Those tragic fires in California, the floods in Texas and down in the South. And it's really been a year of extremes. I don't know if it just seems that way, but it does in fact seem like that it's really being very extreme this year.
Oh, it is. It is. Not to mention that the hurricanes as well, both last year and this year, have become more intense. And there really is something to this global warming thing, but that's a discussion for another day. But we got a great show coming up. Yeah, and another show. We got a great show coming up today.
I think so. We have 2 great guests. We have a young lady who's going to come in and talk with us in just a few minutes, who goes by the name of Tia McGraff. We played her song back a couple of weeks ago in connection with Veterans Day, her release, which is the remake of the old classic One Tin Soldier. And y'all like that so well, we decided to have her come in and share her new release. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about her new album, among other things. And she'll be joining us. Tia McGraff will be joining us in just 4 or 5 minutes or so. And then we're going to have an old friend of ours, Mac Evan Johnson, the singing truck driver who from Georgia, who's going to be joining us. He had premiered Sweet Southern Woman on this show a few months back, and he's going to do his new single, too, a thing called Ain't Broke. So we've got all that coming up. I think maybe we should get right to it. Let's roll. Tia McGraff, One Tin Soldier.
Listen, children, to a story that was written long ago about a kingdom on a mountain and the valley folk below.